Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hobo Prepper. I am your host, Friar Tuck. Hi, Road Dogs. I hope you're doing well. I had the weekend off. I hope that you had a good weekend and you had some time to put your head together. What we're going to be talking about today are 5 things that you can do to prep for what is coming. The Great Dispossession, SHTF, whatever you want to call it, the end of the world, the apocalypse. There are different things in which you could call it. Okay, but I'm choosing to call it the Great Dispossession. So there are 5 things that you can do to get prepped. So I want to kind of start this with the caveat. When this happens, or if you're planning for this to happen, if you're in this situation, that means that you cannot pay off your debts. That means that you're probably a renter, or you have so much debt that you're going to lose your house and everything else because you don't have any money coming in. Or you are looking at it from that standpoint. So if you have your own bug out property and so on and so forth, this may not pertain to you. But if you are of the 90% of Americans who have a mountain of debt and who have more debt than ever before, and the debt comes due, you might be caught in this situation. So here's what you can do while you have the money right now. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get yourself a backpack. You're going to want to make sure that it is waterproof. Now, I have a recommendation of a backpack down in the description. I am also doing an unboxing video or a review video on another one that is a little bit more economical. It's about half the price, but I'm going to draw the correlations between having that one versus this one. So regardless of what your budget is, you can find a good backpack anywhere between $100 to $50, and if you really want to go above and beyond, you can go up to $200. I wouldn't go over $200 because you got to realize this thing's going to be wear and tear, and there comes a certain point. It's more about craftsmanship than it is about price. And the way that the system works is sometimes you may be paying more, but you're paying more because you're getting these rare things, but they may not actually be practical for use. It's more or less just so that rich people can say, look at me, I have something that looks cool and is expensive. Okay, not everything you need is going to be expensive. Second reason why you don't want to get an expensive bag is because people might think of robbing you. And if they see that you have a nice bag and that you have nice stuff and that you are wearing nice clothes, you are going to get robbed. Blending in is important, and your bag should not be so high quality that it stands out that it's like driving a Porsche through the ghetto. Okay? The second thing that you really want to focus on is, your sleepwear. All right, your sleepwear is going to be important because your mental health is going to be really important. All right, whether you're going homeless or something hits the fan, it doesn't matter what the situation is. When you lose that roof over your head, because we have been conditioned for so long that is the most important thing to have, you are going to have a psychological break. Okay, so having a good sleepwear is important because your sleep is tied to your mental well-being. So having something that you know will be able to keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. If you're going to spend a lot of money on something, I would spend more money on my bag than on my sleeping bag than I would on my duffel bag or my sea bag or whatever bag you want to call it, my big backpack. Okay, I would spend more money on that, and I actually spent about the same amount of money on my backpack for it, but I found one, and I'm going to test it out, and I will let you guys know what kind of sleeping bag that I recommend. So if you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber, and keep a look down in the description, because as I try equipment out and I build my bag, I'm putting what I'm putting in my bag. I'm going to put links down there so that if you want to add that to your repertoire, you can. Okay, if you want to mimic what I have because you think what I have is a good idea, well, then you will have those. Now, it's not going to all be down there because I'm testing out some stuff right now, like a water purifier and stuff like that. But all in all, having good sleepwear so that you can have something good so that you can keep your mental well-being good standing. Okay, that means even I've even looked it up, and yes, I know I'm a little bit of a prima donna, but I want a pillow. I've always had a pillow. I want a pillow. If the world blows up tomorrow, I want a pillow. Okay, so I have actually found a little compact pillow, and when I get that, I will also put that down in the description. But the sleeping bag and a pillow, and you can roll them up compact. That is important. Because you want to make sure that you can get some good sleep at night and that you can stay warm and that you're not going to freeze to death. Another thing that I want to remind you is that if you are going outside for the first time, okay, so this is your health alert. If you are going out for the first time, do not put your skin on concrete or sleep on concrete, because the concrete will suck the water out of you and you will die of dehydration. Hobos tell other hobos this a lot. That's why you see people go get cardboard. It's because if they don't, and they're sleeping on that concrete because all they've got is a coat to cover up on because it's the middle of summer, whatever, they can sleep on that cardboard on concrete and they will stay alive. But if you take that cardboard away from them, you're killing homeless people. And so all you people that lock your dumpsters, yes, I know it may be a nuisance. Talk to your hobos about keeping it clean. If you invite the right hobos around, and this is something I'll talk about in another video, what you can do. Anyways, the third thing that you're going to want to do, and this one is absolutely free. Okay, after you've gotten your bag together, the things that you want, the things that you can carry, I recommend doing a test run. If you've got 30 days, you should, the way that Amazon is right now, you can get, everything is being discounted. You can find good deals on quality stuff at an extremely affordable price on Amazon right now. And if you have Prime, my stepmom has Prime, so I use it, I get free next day delivery. So as far as shipping costs, maybe you might want to find a friend that has Prime and ask them to let you buy some things through their Prime so that you can get free delivery. I'm sure if you've got a good friend, they don't mind. But this is, once you get all of that together, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put it together, carry it around. Maybe if you still have a job but you can't afford anything, let's say you still got to go to work, at least spend the weekend. Okay, let's say you've lost your job. You got your pink slip, the whole, everything's going down. If that be the case, then you might want to take a week while you still have a roof over your head. Take a week and go sleep out on your patio, out on your back porch. Go sleep out there. That way you can at least get the psychological aspect of it prepared for. Because here's the thing. It's going to take you anywhere between 3 days to 3 weeks to get over the feelings of depression, the feeling of suicide, the feeling of worthlessness, all of the things that are tied to, because we are taught from a young age that having a roof over our head is the most important thing in the world. And if you don't have it, you are not human. You are like the beasts of the forest. And we have been conditioned that way. And this is the price that you had to pay, was instead of being able to say, hey, look, I got my money, I can go without the house because I know how to live without a house. Okay, because of the physical and mental conditioning that we are given. It happens to me. Every time I go, I still have to deal with it. I'm still going to deal with it for about 3 days. I'm going to feel depressed. I'm going to feel a little suicidal. I won't want to do anything. I'm just, it is part of the psychological break that happens when you transition from one to another, because you go from a feeling of safety to a feeling of unsafety. So the quicker that you can condition yourself to it, the quicker that you will be in a better position to be able to deal with it. And going out there and dealing with those extreme conditions, but then being able to, worst case scenario, you're out for 3 days, you realize you need to reorganize, you go back home, you've still got a roof over your head, you get to enjoy it, now you appreciate it just a little bit more, and you are starting to get mentally prepared for that day when the sheriff comes and takes your stuff off the front porch and moves it off the property. Okay, whether you be in a house or whether you be in an apartment, this is what the sheriff will do. They will move your stuff out for you. Okay, so this is important, getting yourself mentally prepared. And that kind of helps me segue into it, is in that same sense, you're going to have a plan. You have your initial idea. So when the first time, okay, so let me give you the title of number 4 so that you can understand. So the title of number 4 is planning for the long term. Okay, so the first time I went homeless, um, I brought everything in the kitchen sink. It was a disaster. You realize real quick, and I didn't have any prep time. I didn't have anything. It's like, oh, take what you got. I had a backpack, or no, I don't even have a backpack. I actually had to take my sheets and tie it around my blankets and carry that, and then I had to carry like a suitcase. I mean that that was what my first. I mean, after a while, I had to ditch everything and go into a more compact situation. So being prepared for the long term. So the next time I go out, oh, well, I have a car, but I packed the car to the brim. I'm like basically sleeping in a cubbyhole. No different. All it is now I've got something that can haul around all the crap that I have. It was good, but that was back when gas was cheap. Gas is not cheap anymore. Insurance is not cheap anymore. You cannot get around undetected like you used to. The amount of surveillance and the amount of police interactions on a daily basis is it's crazy compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago. And so when you're prepping, it's not when I would go out and when like probably the third time by 2004 I was already like, okay, I'm gonna prep this. So I went and I spent like like $200 or $300 and I bought a bunch of stuff, and even all that crap was worthless. I would say I was only able to keep maybe 20% of it, 30% of it. So once you've gone outside and you've tested it out like you did in step 3. Now at number 4, now you're getting your plan together. So you need to figure out what it is that you need to keep, what it is that you're missing, and what it is that if you have the opportunity, you have the space, you would be willing to carry the extra weight. Okay, because your things, and you should watch the five prepper must-haves. It'll be at the end of this one if you want to watch it. But with this, you've got to plan for the long term. You're not planning, oh, I'm going to be out there for a couple of weeks. Or I'm not going to be out there for a couple of months. I might be out there for maybe 6 months. It takes me to get a job, get on my feet, and get everything going. That's how long it may take. Okay, and you may be sitting there going, oh man, that's a long time. But 6 months really isn't a long time. 6 months flies by really quick. Your first 60 days will fly by in a breeze. I mean, it will seem long real quick, but then next thing you know, you'll look back and you'll be like, crap, because you're so busy toiling and just taking care of your basics that you don't really have time to worry about time. And so dealing with the whole psychological aspect of it, that we dealt with in number 3, being that toiling, that get up in the morning, go to get in the soup line. Then you go from the soup line, and then maybe you might go and rest and plan the rest of your day from there. And then you go and you spend 4 or 5 hours making some money. And then you go take a break and come down for lunch. And then you go spend another couple hours making some money. And then you take another break down for dinner, and then it's time to lay down and get ready for bed. And you're so busy. But the thing is, the equipment, the stuff that you put on your back, that is heavy, and it is going to take a long-term toll. It is going to do long-term back damage. So you need to make sure that the weight that you're carrying and the stuff that you put on there is absolutely necessary. And so making sure to plan. So for example, having a cookware set. For example, having maybe a water filtration system. But your cookware set needs to be compact. It needs to be light because that's extra weight. Instead of carrying it all in your hands, you're carrying it all on your back. And you've got all that stuff smushing in. So you've got your clothes, you've got your money making equipment, you've got your filtration and your cooking gear, and you have your sleeping gear, and you have all that stuff, and that's all on your back. And that comes up to like 50 to 100 pounds, depending upon what you carry. And it's still going to be heavy. 50 pounds is not light. It's not heavy, but it's not light either. And adding that extra 50 pounds on top of what you already have is going to do additional wear and tear. This is why people who do a long-term backpacking, especially hobos, have back issues when they carry these heavy backpacks. So making sure that that you plan for what it is that you intend. So, for example, one thing that I would plan for is um, I I'm in Florida. Uh, Shit hits the fan here. Guess what? I'm not staying in Florida. I'm going north. So that means I need to have cookware. I might even want to have a little bit of a tiny shovel. I'm definitely going to want to have a knife or something like that to be able to either do rabbit traps or whatever. And then I'm going to want to be able to cook it. So I'm going to be able to need to carry my um, fuel for my camp, but it's all got to be lightweight. And then I got to have my clothes, but you got to realize you're going to be wearing the same clothes for 2 or 3 days at a time, and then you're going to switch them out, and then you got to do your laundry, and so on and so forth. And if you're going from, like, let's say from Florida to the Rust Belt, because the Rust Belt is more of the old style cities that was more geared towards the pedestrian traffic. And when you have a city that's geared towards pedestrian traffic, it's going to be kinder to you as somebody who's on foot. Okay, and so you want to move to somewhere like that, or find a city near you that has good pedestrian that was laid out for pedestrian traffic, and that is going to be where you're going to have the most success. And when everything goes to rebuild, you'll be in a prime place to where you're not relying on all these fossil fuels and everything else like that. You will be able to survive just off of what you have. Okay, number 5, and I kind of already started talking about it. Look at where you're at. What's the soil like? What's the weather like? What are the conditions like? What is the neighborhood that you're in? What is the attitude, the political climate of where you're at? Now, I'm not Republican. I'm not a Democrat. If anything, I would be a follower of Thomas Paine when it comes to politics. That is where I get my political guidance from. So I don't care about either party, and neither should you. It's a religion, and it has gotten so out of control that it's just crazy. Okay. With that being said, moving to an area, you shouldn't worry about Democrat, you shouldn't worry about Republican. What you should worry about is, what are the people like? What is the terrain like? What is the soil like? What is the weather like? Because if you're going to have to be outside, some people, they can handle being down here. Me? Mm-mm. No, I want 4 seasons. I like to go to bed when it's cold. I like it. I like the coolness. I don't like high humidity. So I'm not going to go to a place with a high humidity. Now, I will tell you that you're probably going to want to stay away from the West Coast. And here's why. If you watch my channel that got deleted called Jason the Wise, you can't find it anymore. But I went to Denver, and I was living out of my car in Denver, and Skid Row. All the people that either had a car or could figure out a way to get out of LA, they made it to Denver. That's the next pit stop. I mean, you've got St. Louis. It's probably going to be the next pit stop after that. You're going to have it, and once you get over the Rocky Mountains and you get to Denver, it's a floodgate. So that has been a barrier between East and West, for politics, for culture, for bad things that happen. It's been kind of like our on the West Coast, we look at it as kind of like our defense against the craziness of the East Coast. Well, the West Coast just went even crazier. They decided to outdo the East side's crazy with their own version of crazy, which is even scarier. With that being said, moving somewhere, figuring out where you want to go, that's important. because again, you're planning long term. This may be years, not months. It may not be. You may not get a job. You may have to take over an abandoned house, or you may have to build a community after the big cities evacuate. Or if you're in the Rust Belt, those people were already poor, and like they in the Depression, the reason why it didn't hit as many people as it could have was because there were certain parts of the country that were so poor that they didn't even know the Great Depression. It was like everybody came down to their level. And so like somewhere in the Rust Belt, that would be a place where you're probably going to see less of unrest. Okay? And so these are things that I would think of, if you're looking to go somewhere. I wouldn't go to Florida. Florida is yeah, no. I would say that for me, I would go for Rust Belt. If I couldn't go to the West Coast, I would go for Rust Belt. But if I could stay on the West Coast, I would do anywhere between San Francisco and like Portland, and anywhere from the ocean to Denver. Okay, that's like the perfect climate zone to be. The soil's great, so on and so forth. If you really want to be in a good climate zone, but I warn you, at least in California, you got a lot of the marijuana farmers, and those guys are armed to the teeth. But with these things, I hope that this helps you figure out 5 preps that you can do if your whole world's going to fall apart and it looks like you're going to lose your house, your car. You're going to have to go out. Now, if you have a car, you're going to only be able to keep it for so long unless you have gainful employment. Now, if you have gainful employment and you can stay working while living in your car, then yes, you should do a car. But in all of these things that I told you to prep will apply to you. But if you don't have a car, these things also apply to you. Okay, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.